First, want to congratulate both men's and women's basketball for starting their seasons off 0-1. So congratulations to both of them as they get going. I know Coach Pinchton and Coach Gates are probably very pleased to be 1-0. So Military Appreciation Day, this week on Saturday's game. Obviously, we have Veterans Day coming up, and so we'll we'll wear a patch in honor of all of our branches of the military. And I think it's important to our program and to me specifically that we honor those who serve and have served to provide us with the freedoms that we currently have in our country and the ability to live a way that we live. You know, it's awesome for me. My father served in the military. My uncle Leonard Scott was a lieutenant colonel in Vietnam and served in the United States military until he retired as lieutenant colonel. My grandfather flew B-52 planes in World War II, Leonard Biddle Scott. My cousin currently serves and is listed in the United States military, and so I'm grateful for their sacrifices and service and feel honored to honor those, our great warriors. Also, after watching film, I'd like to take a few minutes to apologize for my sideline behavior and demeanor during the course of the game. In Saturday's contest, there was a few moments where I let the frustrations boil over, and obviously after reviewing the film, clearly had inappropriate language that was not reflective of my character, and I need to be better. So I need to apologize first to my family and my daughters for setting a poor example, to our fans who expect more out of me and I expect out of myself, and to the officials too, for being out of character. I need to be better, will be better, and expect to be more under control and collected and be able to control my emotions in the heat of the battle. With that being said, we got a difficult challenge this week. Obviously, I think it's pretty cool. I think there's a stat out there. It's the first time since '79 two top 16 teams playing for Rowe Field. I think it's really awesome. And so we got a heck of a challenge. I think Coach Heupel's done a tremendous job with his program, developing an identity of what they're trying to accomplish. He took over in some tough situations and has really done a good job of building and coaching his team the way he wants to put it together. They're very sound and physical in all three phases. You think about their offense being dynamic with their tempo and ability to score anywhere on the field. Defense, very aggressive and fast, fly to the football, and special teams very sound. They're consistent, and it looks to me like they're playing their best ball right now. So we'll have our hands full on Saturday. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Eli, you mentioned after the game on Saturday, your team needing to maybe reshift its focus and its goals. How do you feel like they came in here and kind of took that head on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what I said after the game exactly referring to that, but I told our team and our staff 1-0 is a mindset whether you win or lose. Our mindset's about being 1-0 this week, and you stack the wins when you get them and the losses when you get them, and at the end of the season you look back and see where you're at. We have a lot left to play for, starting with playing for each other, and that's we all spend so much time here through the off season and in the season investing in each other. We're not stopping now. Disappointed with the outcome Saturday, but 1-0 is a mentality and a lifestyle that we live by, and we know we have to refocus. In this league, there's no weeks off, so we got a very difficult challenge this week, and we can't really worry about other than being very technical and tactical on the things that we can improve. We got to shake off the emotions of it and move forward.
People have kind of thought of Josh's offense as generally as throwing the ball all over the field. How different is the way they're doing it this year versus maybe what people have thought of with his offense?
Well, I mean, they've got the number one rushing offense in the SEC and the number one rushing defense in the SEC. So I think Josh, much like good offense coordinators do, always start with trying to figure out how to run the football. And then if they try to take the run away, then he has answers vertically down the field, throwing the ball. And it seems to me that's still what he's doing. Last year teams weren't able to defend the pass with the dynamic wide receivers they have, and this year he's been able to do a really good job of scheming up runs, utilizing the quarterback's legs. But I think he's always been able to do that, at least against us he has. So.
Coach, they've got a pretty dynamic trio of running backs. What makes them kind of so good and kind of hard to stop with other teams?
Yeah, they're really good at running back, and they've got really good depth, and all three of them are tough runners. They've got great speed, good vision. The first guy, especially back-end players, don't normally bring them down. So, we have to do a good job of maintaining gap control and having overlap players in our defense.
Harrison Beat is becoming the all-time leading scorer. I mean, it's easy for kickers to lose their job if they don't do their job. What does it say about his consistency and how he's held on to this job for that long to do that?
Well, Harrison's an elite player with a lot of talent. Obviously, his first year was COVID, and he came in and, hit some big-time kicks and has consistently done that for us. And it's something to have longevity in your career and to play it exceptionally well. I think it's pretty cool for him and something to be celebrated.
Coach, part of what's so difficult about Tennessee is the way that you kind of get on runs. It's happened in the last two matchups. How do you avoid that? How do you sort of maintain the balance of the game?
Yeah, you have to play complementary football in a sense that, when the defense gets stops, the offense has to answer. And if the defense doesn't, then the offense, still has to find ways to answer. And I think you're exactly right. That's kind of what happened is, offensively we weren't able to keep the pace, and defensively we've got to do a consistent job of finding stops in the game. And I think the pressure they put on you is that they can score so fast, and that's the challenge. You got to get your cleats in the ground and be able to make routine plays routinely.
When you're talking about defending the run, I think you guys kept Georgia under 4 yards a carry. How do you feel like that part of your game has been the last few weeks in SEC play?
Yeah, I thought other than the first quarter of Kentucky, and really the game against LSU, we've been pretty stout against the run. But, we kind of we either pressure or create movement or are willing to match up and play man-to-man on the outside. This game's going to present a different challenge because if you leave yourself uncovered, they're gonna attack you vertically down the field, and you got to hold up continually one-on-one. So, Coach Baker and the defensive staff are going to have to, do a good job of figuring out what's the best way to attack these guys specifically to their style of play. And again, that's what makes that's another characteristic that makes this league so difficult is the variety of offenses now that we're playing. You have more pro-style offenses with South Carolina and Kentucky, and now you're having a little bit more wide-open offense with Coach Heupel. So there's a lot of variance in what you're trying to defend.
Coach, what have you seen from just takeaway-wise looking back at the Georgia film?
One more time, I'm sorry.
What have you seen? What have been your takeaways from looking back at film from Saturday?
Well, from a tactical standpoint, we weren't able to go on a run on offense or defense. We scored on our first drive, and then they went back down and scored to take the lead, and we kind of battled back and forth, but we were able to never go on a run. And then we scored the first drive out of the second half. They go down and score twice without us answering. And even when we cut it down from 11-3, they were able to go get that field goal. So that's both sides of the ball not being able to play complementary enough. And in that kind of game, you have to find a way to do that. And I tip your hat to them, and that's why they're defending champs, because they were able to answer every time. Obviously, I thought we were able to run the ball well in the second half, but that last two series, obviously the takeaway or turnovers ultimately were our demise. I think the biggest thing that was probably the hidden plays were the kickoff coverages that kept allowing the ball out past the 30 for them, which gave them more variety in their playbook, and so I think that ultimately was probably the hidden play that was keeping us from getting on runs.
How do you see Brady process a loss and approach getting better and kind of analyze himself?
I mean, he's Brady's mentally tough. He's physically tough. We've been in this situation before. He's handled a lot of adversity in the past. I think this is just another step. You know, I don't think he understands when you're the quarterback that you're going to get too much praise and too much blame. And, you know, he put us in a position to win the game, and unfortunately we just had a play right there that didn't work out. I think everybody involved in that play wishes they would have done something different, from me all the way down, to have a better result. So I don't think any one person or anybody on our team blames Brady for that loss in any form or fashion. So.
Eli, talking about kickoff coverage, a lot of your kickoffs haven't gotten to the end zone this year. People look at, I mean, Harrison has the leg for a 62-yard field goal. Is that by design? Is it a different kick?
No, I mean, we're trying to, if we can take away a play from them having the opportunity to score, we're trying to, which is what ultimately a touchback does. So we're trying to create touchbacks every time. But for whatever reason, you know, I don't know if it was the grass. I talked to Harrison about it yesterday. He thought maybe his approach was a little bit too wide. We just weren't able to put the ball in the spot that we normally put it in. So we're going to look back at that this week. And maybe, too, it shouldn't have mattered coming off the bye week, but, you know, with having 3 games left, we're going to see if Blake, Craig, you know, with him just focusing on kickoffs and letting Harrison look at field goals. We're going to look at that this week and see if that may potentially be an option, too, just to take a little bit of what am I trying to say? A little bit of work off of his leg on game day.
The flip side on your own kickoff returns, do you have a general rule for those guys back there where to feel? I know Marquise just looked like he got kind of caught in between, wasn't sure where he caught the ball, but
Yeah.
do you have a fair catch rule?
We do. Yep, we do. You know, that was, at the end of the day, that was a coaching mistake made by me. I should have had those guys on the goal line, and then if the ball's kicked over their head, there's no indecisiveness about whether or not we should let it go. And for whatever reason, we had that done on every kick except for that one. And so for that one, those guys lined up at the 5, and that's on me not getting it fixed and getting it corrected and being aware of that and making sure they're back on the goal line. So I got to do a better job having my eyes on the game and spend less time arguing with officials and more time making sure that our players are lined up where they're supposed to be.
Coach, Tennessee is top 10 in tackles for loss and sacks. What do they do so well to constantly be in the backfield with their opponents?
Yeah, I think it starts with their D-line. I think they have a really good defensive line. It starts with their D-line coach, Rodney Gardner, has been in this league a long time and done it at a really high level. They recruit at a really high level. They play vertical. I think their scheme matches that kind of coaching. You know, they're similar with our style. They like to bring pressure, multiple pressures, and not afraid to pressure and vary the coverage or disguise to it. And they've got some really good players. You know, Tyler Barron's been playing at Tennessee for a really long time. I think he's a really good player. I think we've played against him for 4 straight years, if I'm correct on that. You know, I think James Pierce Jr. Is a dynamic player that provides them a lot of position flexibility, can really rush the passer well, and the rest of those guys are really good. I feel like we've been going against the Thomas, Eason, and Lott and Garland for as long as I've been here, so those guys play well.
How was Chad Bailey doing after missing this past week?
Yeah. I should have actually started with that. Chad has had a reoccurrence of that injury that he had in the summer, and we're going to do what's best interest of him, so he'll be out the remainder of the season. He's going to continue to help our team as best he can with being in meetings and helping coach the linebackers and serving with leadership and captaincy. But he'll be out the rest of the year. He's going to go get a second opinion on what's the next step for him, and hopefully we can get him healthy enough to pursue his dream of playing at the next level.
Is there anybody else that maybe got banged up or something just from this past week or something like that?
Realist George will be questionable this week. He got dinged up in the second to last play. Luther Burden will be questionable this week. Theo Weiss would be probable. Brady Cook would be probable. Cody Schrader would be probable. Ennis Rakestraw will be probable. All those guys are dealing with different things that they've kind of battled through, but I think Luther and Realist would be the two that I'm the most concerned about right now.
Eli, the offense has had success with the stretch zone run kind of on the outside there. What is it about that play that's kind of just worked well for Cody Schrader and just the offensive line in general?
Yeah, that's a play that's been effective for us, been effective for Larry Roundtree and Tyler Beatty, and I think Cody's gotten really comfortable running that play. It's a play that attacks the defense's edges but allows us the ability to stick our foot in the ground and get a vertical seam if they become too horizontal. I think the athleticism of our tackles really allows us to define that cut for the tailback. And I think Coach Moore's done a really good job of helping protect that play with his vertical play actions too off of it with the same backfield action. I think those combinations make it tough for defenses to stop. Coach Jones has a sign in our O-line room that talks about the importance of the outside zone, and I think our players have really bought into it.
There's a stat out there that I think Theo is one of the best in the country of contested catches. Did it obviously a few times in Georgia. How much, I guess, faith does that give a quarterback in your passing game that, hey, maybe he's covered, but he generally comes down with the ball?
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of really big-time plays on 3rd and 4th down where the ball was actually snapped early, and we didn't even run an effective play, but Brady had the confidence just to give Theo a chance, and I think Theo's a special player. I think he's done an outstanding job for us this season on what we've asked him to do, and I think he is one of the best that I've been around on contested catches, and we got to continue to find ways to give him those opportunities, and I think Brady has a lot of confidence in him, sometimes too much. There was one play there in the second quarter. I sure wish he would have ran the quarterback draw instead of throwing the 9 ball, but that's part of it.
Yeah, you've got a lot of players that play a lot of college football. How have you seen their response to a loss that maybe could have been demoralising? How have you seen them respond just with that experience in hand?
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot into the game, but as a warrior, as a guy who battles, you know that not every battle is going to go your way. Like this, we're not in the NFL where you can still maybe reach your ultimate goal without losing a game, but the reality of it is you're probably going to face a couple of losses in your career, so you're going to have to be able to always pick yourself back up. And in this league, they're never going to feel sorry for you, so you got to shake off the emotions of it. You got to have courage and persevere and refuse self-pity and move forward. And that's, we did that after the LSU game. I would expect nothing different in this game. I mean, it wasn't like the expectations of the team are like, if we don't win every game, we're failures. Like that's not our mindset. We put a lot into it. We put a lot into every single game. But you got to be able to pick yourself up and move forward when you don't get the outcome that you want. Like, what is it Winston Churchill said? Failure's never fatal. Something like that. I'll figure out the exact quote. But, I mean, as long as you learn from it and keep moving forward, it's not really losses. They're just lessons, and keep moving.
Wide receivers had catches in the short area game of what had target. That number's probably a little less than what we've seen at times this season. Is that just something, with the matchup, focus on all those guys that did have catches, or?
One more time, what was the start of that question? I'm sorry.
5 receivers had catches against Georgia.
Yeah.
Daniel Blood had a target.
Why didn't we have more variance in it? Yeah, that was one of the things that we kind of went back and said tactically, we probably didn't play enough wide receivers in the game. We probably played in that game you want to play Theo and Lou and Mookie a bit, but, maybe we didn't let those other guys rotate in a little bit more. I know, we have Mackay played quite a bit. The ball just didn't find him other than the one play right there that led to the scoring drive in the fourth quarter. But it's nothing against those guys. We probably just felt in that environment, in those situations, like we were going to ride the horses that we had out there. And, we got to look at that and make sure we're getting more variance.
Eli, 4 straight sellouts, first time since 1980.
Yeah.
How impactful has that been this year, and especially coming into a game against a top 16 team in Tennessee?
Yeah, really appreciative of the fans and obviously the support they're showing, and that stat kind of blew my mind because of the success that Coach Pinkel had in 07, 08, and obviously the run they went on in 12 and 13. So, for us to do something that hadn't been done in 40 years is pretty cool. And hopefully it's just the beginning. I mean, that to me is what my hope is that as we've been able to build this thing, that we're just seeing the harvest, so to speak, that we're going to continue to reap it and continue to build the brand of Mizzou football and build the case for us being a really difficult home environment to play in. And that starts with our students being really loud and carrying over. I mean, somebody said, why stop now? I would carry on with them, like, why stop now? Let's make sure that Florida game's a sellout, too. Night game, ESPN should be fun. Beautiful weather, too.
Anything else, Coach?
Coach, you mentioned bringing in reps a few weeks ago to kind of help with some discipline. Is there any more ways you guys are trying to install that mentality as the weeks go on?
No. I think we had 2 false starts on the offense. One was on the move call. One was on a tempo call by 2 6-year players. So wasn't necessarily concerned about that aspect of the game. Then we had a couple of DPI calls that were judgment calls that was their judgment. I'm not sure if we had officials here that would change the judgment of those officials, so I don't know that having officials there is going to matter on that stuff. So, you bring in officials for the pre- and post-snap penalties that can occur, and for the most part, I thought we played pretty clean other than those 2, and we'd like to be perfect, but I think we all understand in that environment, you snap the ball 68 times or whatever we did, you're probably going to have a couple of false starts.
Coach, real quick about disconcerting penalties. I forgot how-
Disconcerting signals?
Or signals, I'm sorry. Disconcerting
Yes.
signals. D-Rob said when that first happened, he wasn't really sure. You guys had another one this week. What is that? I guess, why does that become a problem in college football?
Man, I love these questions. Disconcerting signals means that the offensive cadence is protected from the defense, right? So if your cadence is set hut, then in theory the defensive players cannot say hut, right? Well, most people have a clap as their cadence now. So when you are a defensive player and it's loud and you're trying to get the attention, so what happened was we were in the wrong front, and Hop is trying to get the attention of the defensive line to shift the front. You can't hear, right? You're yelling, but they can't hear you. So what's something that can get their attention? Okay, what am I hearing that? Why is somebody clapping? Well, if I'm clapping and they go on clap, that's a disconcerting signal. And so that's what occurs. We've talked to our guys about not clapping, and giving it to the offense and allowing them to have that. But I think in the heat of the moment, when you're trying to get somebody to move that's not hearing you, there's not a lot of other things you can do out there. If vocal cords aren't enough, I don't know that tapping on your helmet's going to get it done either. So we got to figure out a different way to maybe communicate. But it's a challenge because no, I'm good.
Why would any offense not go on a clap then, consider?
Well, now that you brought that question up, you can only protect one. You can only have one. And so let's just say that you give a verbal cadence to the O-line to let them know that, hey, we're fixing to clap, so that the O-line's not just sitting there the whole time, like for 40 seconds with their hand on the ball, like, oh my gosh, it's fixing to come. So maybe you say something like ready, hey, ready, and then they know after that, hey, the clap could come anytime. But if the other team says ready, you can't protect ready and the clap. So there's some good gamesmanship going on right now. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.